Hey guys, what's up? I just wanted to make a video going over government agencies with y'all to make sure that y'all are clear on which agency is responsible for which thing. So, there are many different state and government agencies that are responsible for keeping food safe, and you need to know which one is responsible for which particular thing. So let's start off with state and local regulatory authorities, right? So if you look at that little slide at the very bottom, it says state and local regulatory authorities. What are they responsible for? What do they do? So say I'm going to open up a new restaurant, right? I decide I want to open up across from Balestra's, buy that land or whatever, and I want to open up a new restaurant there. The state and local regulatory authority would be like the Plaquemines Parish Health Department, the Louisiana Health Department. They will come out, inspect my building and make sure it's safe to open. They're the ones, if you ever go in the restaurants and you see like a license behind the area, there's a license saying, basically it's saying the Louisiana State Department approves this restaurant to be operational. So they're the ones that issue licenses and permits and things of that nature. They're the ones that have health inspectors that come out and inspect your restaurant to make sure it's safe for you to open. A possible certification question that they like to ask is about in relation to, I believe it was sewer backing up. Basically, if you're working in a restaurant or managing a restaurant and sewer is backing up in the floors, you would call, first place you have to call is your local or state health department or regulatory authority. They come out, check it out. Yeah, your sewer's backing up in the restaurant. Sorry, it's unsafe. They shut you down. You would have to call them to what they like to ask is who would you have to call to find out if your restaurant's safe to reopen again? The local, state, and regulatory authority. You got to call them back out. They shut you down. You fix the problem. You call them back out, and they will inspect your restaurant and deem it safe for you to reopen again. So state and local regulatory authorities issue the licenses, permits, and basically deems your restaurant safe to operate. They adopt the food code. So if you look at that slide where it says they adopt the food code, what does that mean? So you also have the Food and Drug Administration. You may have heard of the Food and Drug Administration before, the FDA. They inspect all food and drugs, obviously, to make sure it's safe for us to consume or to eat or take. So that's why if you see commercials for like new diet pills at the very bottom of the screen, it'll say this is not approved by the FDA. It means the Food and Drug Administration has not approved it. You're kind of taking it at your own risk. So any kind of canned goods, cereal, chips, any kind of medicines, any of that has to be approved by the FDA that it's safe to eat. They also write the food code. They also like to ask that on certification tests too. What agency writes the food code? That would be the Food and Drug Administration. What is the food code? It's basically a big old binder full of all kind of rules and things like and protocols and stuff. That's what the food code is. So the FDA writes it. Your local, state, and regulatory authority will decide if they want to abide by those rules. So basically like the Louisiana Health Department takes the food code and picks out of it what rules they want to use for the state that the state restaurants have to abide by. So FDA writes the food code, your local, state, and regulatory authorities revise it and pick out what rules they want their particular state to follow. You have the Louisiana Department, or the U.S. Department rather, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA. They inspect all meat, poultry, and eggs. So the Food and Drug Administration does not inspect our meat, our poultry, and our eggs. That's the United States Department of Agriculture. If you go, I went to Balestra's a while back and bought a steak, and I'll put the picture up on Google Classroom. It had a stamp on it, a sticker that said, this steak has been approved by the USDA. So any kind of meat that we eat, any kind of eggs that we eat, any kind of poultry. If you see poultry, that means chicken or bird, like turkeys, chickens, and all that. All that is inspected by the United States Department of Agriculture and deemed safe for us to eat. The last one is the CDC. Lord help y'all if y'all don't know what the CDC is, right? With the whole COVID thing going around, the CDC is on the news every day. So Centers for Disease Control. So what does the CDC do? They're the ones that investigate outbreaks. So obviously right now they're very busy investigating the outbreak of COVID. So the Center for Disease Control, and they put out guidelines with the masks and all that kind of stuff. So, and that's a certification question too, possibly. They'll ask you, what government agency is responsible for investigating outbreaks of diseases? That's the CDC. That's the easy one to get right. They also investigate the outbreak of foodborne illness. So if you remember a while back with Blue Bell ice cream got recalled for having listeria in it. Listeria would have been a biological contaminant that was in the ice cream. The CDC got called out to figure out, why, that was a big, large-scale operation. why does your ice cream have, listeria in it, that sort of thing. So hopefully that kind of breaks down the government agencies where you kind of understand them a little bit better. If you have any questions at any time, let me know, and I hope y'all have a great day.